Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Friday. So you know what that means. It's another episode of Millennial with Bill and Mel. We're here, guys. We're here to yell. We're here to have a good time today. Today's going to be a little bit more lighthearted conversation than what we had in the last couple of weeks. So we wanted to bring a little fun, yeah, right, to say the least. And so, but what we're going to be talking about today are our top favorite bands. For me personally, it's from a very specific time frame, right? There's a lot of different bands that we could go through just throughout time, but specifically for us millennials, right? That very specific time frame when we were growing up, right? And we were listening to a lot of music probably as kids and teens and early adults and stuff like that. So, but before we get into all that, please make sure you comment who you are, where you're from. We'd love to give you guys a shout out. And if you're going to be jumping on the replay, please do the exact same thing. So anyways, guys, let's ask Mel, how are you doing? How has your week been?
Week is great. Yeah. I had a great meeting this morning, and the sun came out right after. It must have been a sign that the meeting was so great that after 3 days of rain and gray, the sun is shining. So we love that. Obviously, week's been good. Yeah, it's really funny because it's going to be a great topic to talk about music. I've been listening to some great music, and I have some funny stories about. Some throwbacks that I've been listening to. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love throwback music.
Love it.
It's definitely a really cool thing to be a part of. So I think for me, well, let's let everybody know why music was important to us. I mean, music's always important to us, but especially then, what were some of the reasons music was super important to you?
Yeah, so this is why I love talking about this. Music is huge for me. I mean, I put that in our little bio, but, I can close my eyes and be in the place that I was when I first heard a song, or when it was out on the radio, or when it was out at the club or something. And I put myself back into that place. And it's about memories too, for me. Good and bad, but I think, do you do that at all?
Oh my God. Yeah. It takes you back to a moment, how you felt, what you're dealing with, whether you're dealing with, any type of.
Oh my gosh. I have like so many examples. I'm so excited to share these, but music is really big for me just because of that. I associate, a lot of the times in my life and whether it's friendships or relationships or, just times in our lives to different types of music. And I love to dance. I think I got that from my nanny. My mom loves to dance, and we're dancing to music, obviously. But I love live music. I love when I travel. Where's the best live music? Where's something live? Even if you're just in small towns, I try to find the live music just because I love it.
Yeah, I mean, music makes life more tolerable, right? Like it makes it more enjoyable just because of everything that you have going on in your life. And so for me, music's an escape, and I love the ability just to be transported somewhere, right? Not where you're currently at. How many car rides have you had in your lifetime where you've just listened to just countless songs, right? Like, what kids don't realize these days is that, I don't know if you had it, but I had a big old binder in my car with every CD I ever had. I remember just paging through CDs, trying to get to you'd be like, oh, I need to hear this song.
I mean, just think how things have changed that we used to. I mean, I remember having cassette tapes, and then I had a little thing called a pocket rocker, and it was like a little tiny mini cassette tape. You can find them now. They're from the 80s and the early 90s. And you can flip one side or the other. And just think of how we've evolved, obviously not even just in the cars, but with music and phones and MP3s and to iPods to now. I mean, it's crazy to see all that. But But yeah, just driving around. I mean, especially on nice days, and music music on, like windows down, listening to that that song that comes on, you just get into a better mood. It definitely can change your mood and the way that the way that you feel. And I think also it can help you get through things, listening to music. Oh yeah, I had an 8-track. Yeah, Peggy. Yeah. And let's even talk about vinyl. Like, I love vinyl. It's a different, it's different. You know what I mean? So let's.
Yeah. Well, vinyl, I feel like, is making its way back around. A lot of people are getting back into that. But I remember going to like the CD stores, right? Like Tower Records, right? And actually like waiting for, an album to drop, and you have to pick up the entire thing. And then like the whole Napster thing where you could take individual songs and just like, I remember like the first iPod that came out, right? It was like huge. Remember how big and thick that thing was? It could like stop a bullet.
Oh yeah.
So huge. And now you have everything on your phone, right? Like, you have the ability to listen to whatever you want.
Or we have we don't want to say her name, but because she'll start to talk back to me. But that's how I listen to all my music now. I say, hey, I whisper, but play this song or play this type of music. I start actually my day. I say my day, and it's bless you. And it's, it's like coffee shop radio. My best friend Marcel, she starts with like something. She just sent me the link, and I'm going to do it too, that I just put music on in the morning. It's the first thing that I do. I like to just have something going.
I mean, especially for you being in graphic design. I mean, I'm sure that helps the creative juices start to flow, right? Having music in the background. That
story that I was going to tell you too, and we'll get into some of our favorites, but I actually had played at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I played Chris Brown radio. And I tell you what, I felt like I was back, because this 2000, we'll talk about this, 2008 to 2010 was my time of level 2 in Harrisburg, going, dancing, listening to, that obviously around that time. So I was texting my friends saying, I feel like I'm in the club, like I'm hyped up. I'm like, and I was just sitting there working, listening to this music, and it was not what I usually listen to. So it was kind of different, but it was funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, music plays such an important role in our lives. And I think often when sometimes we take it for granted, we forget about it, right? It's just ingrained. I mean, I know for me, music has gotten, because I don't know, this is something that you do not know, but I actually was in high school. I was in a performing singers group. I was in the choir. And so for me, music is a big thing. I love it. I sing a lot just randomly when I'm walking through the house, just because, happy songs, because it keeps your mood and spirit, especially the times that we're in right now. Anything you can do to keep your mood and your spirit up is definitely always nice. And then, I mean, Christmas, we're coming into Christmas, right? People are already complaining. It's November. They got to listen to Christmas music, right? So, I mean, music is such a big part of it.
And just think of like in our culture and in society, I mean, we have The Voice, right? We have YouTube sensations that come out of, there's music is just, is something that's ingrained in, I feel like, obviously with the arts and, like mainstream society, but it's funny how also as I got older, I kept a lot of the same music taste. But country music was, when we talk about the types of music, going back, I was in 8th grade. I was in between 8th and 9th grade, and I went to Japan for a homestay for 2 weeks, and I had a Discman, and I was homesick, and oh look, I will sing "I'll Be Home at Christmas." Yeah. So I was homesick and I had the Faith Hill CD. And this is really funny because I didn't like country music when I was in middle school and even in high school. Anybody says what kind of music you like back then, I would say anything but country, which wasn't true because I don't like heavy metal and I don't like really hard gangster rap. Like I like R&B, obviously R&B and hip hop, but I would say anything but country. And everyone that knows me right now knows I'm a huge country fan. So it's also funny that things that happened in our lives when I was in college. So I listened to that CD, and Faith Hill and Tim McGraw are my biggest country, artists still. She is, but that was in 1998, and it's funny. I hear those songs and I can close my eyes and I'm laying, in Japan at the age of 13, 14 years old, being homesick. Yeah. And fast forward. But yeah, it's funny. I forget what I was going to say, but yeah, I'm so excited. I'm forgetting.
Well, I know we're going to get into some of the bands that really have spoke to us, but like, it just spurred my memory because it's not always about, these might be the top 10 bands, but there's obviously, because in some of the research I was doing, there's actually Billboard did a study, 51 influential songs to millennials. And so I was going through those. And so some of these bands I wouldn't consider like bands that I would listen to multiple songs that they have, but like the one hit wonder types of deals.
Oh yeah.
But there's two songs in particular that I was thinking about when you were talking about that just kind of spur that type of emotion. Mm-hmm. For me, Will Smith in Summertime, right? So I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Like you play that when it's warm out, the windows are down, you're driving your car, like it transports me to summertime.
Oh yeah.
Because summer's my favorite month or my favorite time of the year.
Yes.
So and then for me, like you were talking about how your musical taste change, right? I didn't like country either. Grew up in Pennsylvania, grew up in Delaware. There was country stations, just didn't listen to a lot of it. But when I went to Alabama, right, I'm in the deep South, right? That's pretty much what you listen to. And one of the big songs that they play at the football games is Sweet Home Alabama. So anytime I hear that Sweet Home Alabama song, it instantly transports me to game day, sitting on the quad, with all my friends and stuff like that. So that's why I believe music's so important because it can instantly transport you to that moment in time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I think it's it definitely, like I said, I can close my eyes. I can be back in that, in that moment, in that feeling, and that emotion. But, my best friend, Cece, anyone that knows her, she used to, even in high school, she had like a little speaker, and she'd hear this and laugh. She carried around a little speaker in her purse. And when we were out, she was DJing, like putting songs on. When we were at restaurants and we were at like a Chinese, we were at hibachi, and she'd pull it out and we'd be like jamming out to music. And it's really big because even to this day, when we go out, we get in the car and we put a song on. We're like, like a hype song, and we're, we kind of use it to get us excited. And it's songs that are our favorite songs right now, and we're just like, yeah, we want to listen to it. Or it's a song that is an older song. When I mentioned in the blurb here that when you had come over for our wine party, and you and Megan, and we were all in the kitchen, we were playing songs. And Ja Rule and Ashanti is what you played. And we were like, what? Because that's awesome. I mean, that's obviously some of the songs that we haven't heard in so long. And listening to them, now it's just exciting. That brings us back. But I do want to share a little story. And I'll sum it up because everyone knows my stories are long because I have backstories and
side stories. And
speaking of CDs, I used to work in the mall at FYE. Ooh, so I had a lot of the CDs as well. And I was a junior in high school, a sophomore, maybe junior. And some people may know this. I got fired. From that job. I was giving discounts, and I paid for my sins with them and my family. But that is now public knowledge. That is something that I usually share when someone says tell me something that a lot of people don't know. But not that it's a joke these days, but I loved having the CDs at that time were Jay-Z Blueprint, Ja Rule, Nelly, that was that time of the early 2000s. And that listening to those songs too remind me of obviously working there. But I worked at a music store. Like that's obviously, showing that I love music.
Yeah, well, and it also dates us too because they don't have music stores anymore.
That's funny because Tower Records, when I lived in Philly too, and a friend of mine, 611, Nigel Richards had 611 records, and there are still stores out there that have vinyl, and old and music and stuff. But I remember when I was in high school, I'm pretty sure I bought this off of an infomercial. I don't even remember how, but I got a 2-disc set of 80s music because I love 80s music. Everyone that knows me knows I love 80s. And I think it's ironic. My brother, he's 19 now, and I was driving him somewhere and he plugged in his phone to play music and he started playing 80s. I love classic rock too. Everyone knows that. But just think of, I'm born in 85. So I really didn't listen to the 80s in a sense till I was probably in the 90s and 2000, and he's 16 years younger than me and he's choosing to listen to the 80s. Right. It's funny. And, Nicole had commented, a couple of people had commented on our posts that we were, when we shared this, and she listed a couple 80s bands and stuff, but it's funny how different generations still like the same type of music, and it can bring you together. And I looked over, I said, I know my brother, but I was like, okay, that's funny. And here's something even more interesting. I grew up listening to 50s and 60s music in my mom's car when I was little. And I know almost every word to every oldies song ever. And there was a kid in my elementary school who we were the only ones that knew that type of music because our parents played it all the time. So just think of children, the influence that children have. I don't know what your parents played when you were little, but I mean, just listening to it in the car as we're driving, I know all that.
Yeah, I know so many 60s and 70s songs just because when I'd be going to football practice, my stepdad would be driving. It would be Leonard Skinner and all these other bands and stuff like that. And that's all he listened to. And so, I mean, I love that music. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, my dad was a huge Beatles fan, and we listened to so many Beatles songs. I mean, we even listened to recordings of them in recording studios, going through that doesn't sound so good. Play it this way, And so, definitely our parents have a huge influence on some of our because that's what they love to listen to. So then by in turn, but interesting that you said you worked at what was it, FYE, right? I always forget.
For Your Entertainment.
Yes, man. Some of the CDs that stood out in my mind. I don't even know if they sold them in that store, but I definitely remember the infomercials for them. The Now music, Now 45 at Jock Jams, and I think they're up to Jock Jams 1 million by now. But I remember all those CDs, and those you could buy those things, and those were a big part of my life too.
Oh yeah, I had a bunch of those too. But I just remember that 80s one I used to listen to over and over and over. And it's funny how even we can play the same song over and over and over too.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, my brother-in-law, he is a huge hair metal band fan. And so anytime we'll go over to his house and stuff like that, it's always a good time because that music just makes you feel good too. you know, they just want to party and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. But I think we should get into some of these. Here's some of our top bands from when, like, that development age, right? Where we're
talking like 90s.
Yeah.
90s.
Mine's
early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, so mine's not really in any particular order because I couldn't, like, I had the 10 bands, but I just couldn't come to grips of like ranking them because they're in their own right. They're all different. They all have different memories, but these were definitely some of the top bands that really that I listened to on a regular basis. So what, in no particular order, give me one of the ones that stuck out for you back then.
So I had written some down from the 90s, and then I did like a couple from early 2000s and then mid 2000s because those are, you know, just, I thought, into adulthood in a sense. But so Ace of Base.
Okay.
Ace of Base was my jam. You know, The Sign.
What?
The Sign. Yeah,
oh yeah. I mean, great band. Great band. I mean, what didn't make my top 10 list?
Poppy. I don't know that these are top. Look, I just have a whole list. I'm just going to go through them.
Yeah. I mean, for me, a big one
in order, yeah,
is in no particular order, and it's for people that really know me. This is not a shocker, but Boyz II Men.
Oh, yeah, I have that one on my list.
Oh my God! I mean, countless songs. You know, feel good songs, but just like, I mean, just a staple of any CD I ever had in my car was definitely, I mean, especially being in the choir and stuff like that. Yeah, I wanted to be in Boyz II Men, right? but no shot. But those guys, I mean, they're still going strong, even though, you know, people don't listen to that type of music anymore. But those guys are still going strong.
Look. I have them on my list, so I'm crossing them off here too. But what's funny is you made me think. I didn't add this one, but I'm going to, is 112.
Ooh, that is a good one.
So what's so funny is my mom's gonna die. She loved. Which song was it? And I might be thinking of a different song. But anyway. Oh, no, wait, that was Next. Oh, my God, I'm so sorry. Next, Too Close is like, my mom used to sing this song. It was hilarious because it's so inappropriate for, like, my mom to be singing it. But obviously, I'm throwing 112 out there and Next. I think they came out a little later. But you know, that and you know, it's so funny. I didn't have a top 10. I should have created this, but I'm just going to spew them out. But Usher.
Was on my list. Usher.
I listened to Usher. I mean, he obviously is still great to this day, but I go back and forth between Chris Brown radio and Usher radio sometimes.
I prefer Usher before Chris Brown. That's just me. But like anytime, like in the club, like if you didn't hear like you're never going back to that bar again because that's like a club anthem at this point. I mean,
like, how many times have you memorize HERRA?
But you know, Let It Burn. That's a great song by Usher. I love all of Usher's stuff. I think I'm going to go with something a little bit different. I grew up, and it takes me back to like, you know, sitting on the porch with my friends or just hanging around. But Dave Matthews, I love some Dave Matthews, right? That like alternative rock, Dave Matthews, Goo Goo Dolls, like, you know, all those types of bands. But Dave Matthews in particular, just because of the jam sessions, right? The lyrics were great, but you know, the whole like 10-minute jam session between the beginning and the end of the song, right, were always stellar, and it always just put you in a good mood. You know, so anytime, you know, especially like at the beach or something like that, I listen to Dave Matthews because it's just a good, chill
Yeah.
Yeah, chill song.
It's funny because I definitely like Dave Matthews and I like the music. I never got into. I mean, I think there's some hardcore, you know. Dave
No, there are. There are some.
And I never necessarily got like really into it because I'm not. I think classic rock is my thing when it comes to like more rock, if that's what we're gonna, you know, whatever we're gonna call it. I didn't have that much interest in that when I was younger. I think as far as rock goes, I was definitely into 311.
Yeah.
That would be the one that I was into, like Blink 182, you know?
Yeah. Well, funny story about Dave Matthews. When I was working in the hotel in Birmingham, he had a concert there and it was huge, sold out. It was crazy, right? I didn't get a chance to go because I was working it, but it was about our restaurant in the hotel closed at like 12 o'clock, right? And so we're about to close down. Nobody's in the restaurant. And all of a sudden I hear the door open and I turn around and there's freaking Dave Matthews.
No way.
Just chilling, like not a fan in sight. He just comes in. He said, "Hey, are you guys open? I just want something to eat real quick." I was like, "Dude, well, am I going to tell you no?" Like, right. Yes, we're open.
So you said Dave Matthews.
Yeah, so he came, sat down at the bar. Just as much as you think he is chill and real, like if you were to watch him, he seems really just laid back. That's just how he is. Like he was just like he was talking to us like he was not famous at all. He's just like it was just really cool experience to meet somebody that's that famous.
Oh yeah, it's funny like musician wise if I've met, but I lived in Baltimore. You grew up in Baltimore, and there was a Montel Jordan like signing or something.
Ooh, and
Montel Jordan. Yep. I met him there. But ironically, I've seen him 2 or 3 other times in my life. I was at one of the cheesesteak places on South Street in Philadelphia when I lived there. And he was standing in front of me. And I'm like, yep, Montel Jordan. Like, and I'm pretty sure I was somewhere else. And I saw him too. I've seen Montel Jordan like several times in my life. I don't know what that means, but you know, it's hilarious. But
am I next or you?
I'll go. I'm gonna throw out Christina Aguilera, "Genie in a Bottle," baby. Ooh, that was that was great. I think I was more of a Christina fan than Britney when I got older, because a lot of my best friends loved Britney and the concerts and everything. I definitely got into Britney a little bit later, but for some reason, Christina Aguilera was my favorite, at least of the two.
Yeah, I mean, I liked all of them. I'm not gonna say that I didn't listen to Britney, you know, Mandy Moore or Jessica Simpson or Christina Aguilera. Like, I think, you know, probably guys in my age group listen to them for a couple different reasons.
Their music videos. Let's talk about even MTV, you know, and music videos. Holy
Total Request Live, right? Is that what it was called? With what was the guy's name? Carson Daly.
Carson Daly, yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, and BET. I mean, come on, I would come home from school at like 3 o'clock and it would be coming on. You'd get to listen to the top 10 videos, right? And then they would have like one brand new release video. Like I can't remember last time I actually sat down and watched an entire music video. Yeah, I mean, I think I watched sometimes like Usher and Chris Brown ones, but yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I definitely like that. I'm gonna go with my boy Ludacris.
Oh, I love
Ludacris. I love Ludacris. I mean, even from like cornrow days to like him completely like, you know, looking completely different than he used to. I mean, there's just so many songs to choose from. But that was a big staple. I mean, I had all his albums. I actually, fun fact, again, same hotel, I got to meet Ludacris.
Really?
Yes, he had a concert at the hotel, and I happened to be working the breakfast shift, and I literally walk out of the back of the kitchen, 5:30 in the morning. There's Ludacris standing in the middle of the restaurant. I was like, what in the heck is going on here?
It's so funny. Did you see the meme? So there's been a bunch of memes or like graphics now because of the politics and the states and all the red and the blues and like, you know, obviously for which, you know, candidate. And they made jokes of it now. And it had all the states that were in blue. It was all the area codes that Ludacris had hoes in. And it was a map, and it was all the different area codes. Somebody went through the whole song and made a map, and it's hilarious.
That's a great song. I mean, Luda is, you know, like I said, just one of my favorites, and not to mention great actor too, like in some good movies, you know, Fast and the Furious and stuff like that. I mean, that's a, you know, a huge that whole series was a huge kind of deal in our development, right? It was, I mean, when we were, you know, young, that was really starting out. So Ludacris is a big one for me. Yeah,
yeah. I'm gonna go way back because this is when I was definitely little, because I had New Kids on the Block sheets. I had shirts, I had clothing, I had posters, I literally had sheets, and I would like, you know, cuddle up to their faces and stuff at night. I loved New Kids on the Block, and I actually went with a friend of mine, probably like 8-10 years ago. I don't know, when they came to Hershey to see them. Not the same, but yeah, New Kids on the Block was. Like I said, I was definitely younger, but loved that.
Yeah, that is. I like New Kids on the Block. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I like a couple other songs. A few years ago, I think they do that concert. They had a concert a few years ago, like you said.
Maybe.
Yeah, like mixtape something, or I can't remember what it was called, but there was a bunch of bands from that time playing. So, you know, kind of along the lines of Blink-182 for you, right? Well, let me rephrase it. I love Green Day.
Oh, yeah.
Green Day was a great band to grow up with. Very punky, right? Going through that stage in my life where I was just like, you know, I'm mad at everybody, right? And so
I guess I'm trying to consider what genre we're talking, like rock, like alternative punk. I wasn't really into that. I'm probably more into the poppy versions of that. But yeah, I'm gonna go. You know, it's funny. I wasn't a huge Mariah Carey fan, but there's a song. Always Be My Baby, right? I was in 5th grade. I'm going to bring this up because I do love Mariah Carey. I mean, Mariah Carey is Mariah Carey. There was this boy that I had a huge crush on, and he moved away in 5th grade. And I remember sitting in my basement watching the music video. It came on, and I was all upset, and I cried. And it was hilarious because at that age really, like, carried emotion of like my crush leaving. It was hilarious. It was in 5th grade. But I'll always think of that when I hear that song. But
yeah, I mean, like you said,
she's like a top, but it was one I wrote that down just to be a funny story. But
yeah, another band, an actual band, right? The Killers.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Killers. Killers just instantly takes me back to you know, the first year of college, that last year of high school. And I just remember just, you know, driving down the street with the windows down, blasting Mr. Brightside, you know, and just that one of my favorite songs. But the Killers were killer, right? They were killer. But no, that was a good one for me. I really enjoy and still enjoy them, the Killers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll throw out there. Let's see. I have a couple here on my list. Well, let me ask you: NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
Neither. I'm a 98 Degrees guy.
If you had to pick,
if I had to pick,
I mean, I do love Justin Timberlake.
I like Backstreet Boys was my deal. And the simple reason, and there's a very funny memory. I remember the kids in our neighborhood, and we had 98, we had Backstreet Boys, and we always would fight over who we were in the group, right? And like we had little like shows for our parents where we lip sync the songs and stuff like that. So if any guy that was, you know, every guy listened to Backstreet Boys at one point, right? And knows at least one song. Even if they're the toughest guy in the room, they still know one song and be able to sing it. So what about you? Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
I think I got more into NSYNC than Backstreet Boys. I don't know why. Like looking back, I loved the songs. Like I don't think I was that obsessed with them, with the bands and stuff. But you know, it's like Bye 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 and all the dancing and the music videos, and It's Gonna Be Me, which the meme out is It's Gonna Be May. You know, like because he sounds like May, and then like every when May 1st hits, that meme comes up with Justin Timberlake with his curly hair.
Oh my God.
You know, I just think too with Britney Spears, like like I said, I didn't really get too into Britney, but the fact that they were together, it was just hilarious. But I'd probably have to say NSYNC. But I did like the Backstreet Boys too. I don't know.
I definitely had frosted tips in high school.
Oh my gosh. Stunning or something? No,
like frosted tips. I had the blonde going on.
You have to share some pictures of you with your.
I'm gonna see if I can find one of those because that was hilarious. I mean, just the things that music would lead you to do, like in just like clothing and style and stuff like that too. It not only was just music, it definitely reached into other stuff. Big one for me. Because I definitely remember listening to this band before any sporting event I had, especially wrestling or football. Linkin Park. I used to listen to Linkin Park so much growing up. You know, and it was a staple for me getting ready for any sporting event. Yeah. I'm going to throw Destiny's Child out there because I was obsessed with Destiny's Child. You and Megan. Megan loves. So I was actually doing doing some research. The #1 song out of the on Billboard, right?
Yeah.
Does the top 100 of, you know, generations and stuff like that. But their #1 song for millennials was "Say My Name" by Destiny's Child.
No way. Yeah. I mean, I believe it, but it's funny because obviously, you know, I mean, it was a group, and then Beyonce kind of went on her own and is who she is today. But oh yeah, I mean, look at the like band, you know, like as far as like boy bands and like girl bands and what's come, the artists that have come out of that. Like I said, like Justin Timberlake has had such a amazing career out of NSYNC, and then and her too, and Kelly Rowland. Obviously, I brought up that song the other day, which is probably not appropriate. After I thought about it, I was like, yeah, this song isn't the most appropriate for the podcast. But speaking of, girl bands, what's the top girl band?
Gotta be what, Spice Girls?
Yep. Oh, that was I think it was in 7th or 8th grade. I was obsessed with the Spice Girls. Who didn't want to be one of the Spice Girls as a girl? I mean, Sporty Spice and I mean, come on, they're the
Sporty Spice was my crush. Yeah, if I had to pick one out of all of them,
I mean, Victoria Beckham. Like, come on. I mean, that group alone, as a girl band, like, I don't know, everyone loved them, but.
And I want to ask you a question because I was just thinking about this. I actually prefer Destiny's Child over Beyonce's career after Destiny's Child. Like, I like a lot of her songs and the way she sang in Destiny's Child versus I mean, not taking anything away from her. They're great songs in her solo career, but I definitely prefer Destiny's Child over her solo career.
Right. Yeah. I could back that. Sure. I think I would agree with that. I think Justin Timberlake's songs and albums after NSYNC are way better than my love for NSYNC, but love JT. But yeah, I would agree with that for sure. I'm gonna throw out Outkast. Okay, I loved Outkast. I still do. But I think that you know, I mean, you talk about groups, and you know, they're yeah, Rosa Parks. You know,
I mean, I love Outkast. They're great. You know, definitely like Bombs Over Baghdad is a great song. I mean, there's just a ton of great songs that they have, and they were completely different when they came out than everybody else that was out there, right?
Yeah.
And one guy that I really like, and you already alluded to him because I played him in that party, is Ja Rule.
Oh yes.
And I'm pissed off because Ja Rule was ahead of his time, and he got made so much fun of because he sang in his songs, right? Everybody made, all the hardcore rappers, why are you singing, man? That's stupid. And now what does everybody do? Everybody's singing in their songs, right? So, but Ja Rule had some great hits with Ashanti, with J-Lo, right? To name a couple of them. And J-Lo is another one of mine. And the simple reason is because all-time probably crush. Sorry, Megan. We actually have a running joke. You know, she would leave me for Justin Timberlake, and I would leave her for J-Lo. So completely.
And you're alluding to potentially another podcast topic.
Yes, hint, hint, foreshadowing. But Ja Rule was all-time on my all-time top 10 list of people I could just listen to at a drop of a hat. I'll probably, when we get off here, turn on Ja Rule. If they have a Ja Rule station, I will be listening to that today.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm telling you. The early 2000s of the Ja Rule, Jay-Z, Nelly's, you know, I mean, those.
Country Grammar. I mean.
Oh, yeah. Lunatics. Yeah, I have TLC, obviously, just, you know, some staples, and Missy Elliott. I don't know that they're not my favorites, but I have them on my list just because, you know, but Aaliyah, I was obsessed with Aaliyah.
Yeah. All those songs just remind me of like dances, like middle school dances, high school dances, right? I remember like slow dancing to some of these songs, right? And that just brings back more childhood memories. And then, but yeah, I mean, those are, trying to think of if there's any ones that, you know, that we, you know, like I said, there were some punk songs that I liked. There was a band called Sum 41 that I liked. You know, those are
Oasis. Huh? I mean, Oasis, Wonderwall. You know, I mean, Oasis was huge too.
I mean,
Smashing Pumpkins, down Smashing Pumpkins. These are just like throwbacks that I was thinking. If you heard it today, I mean, there's just so many people that you just don't hear of anymore, and they're not, you know, whether it was one hit wonders or, you know, they had one album that was good. You know, I think there's a ton that you could. I was Googling some stuff about 90s music, and like Lisa Loeb came up. I started writing down all of these people that that were just, you know, funny. One, I would say that was a one-hit wonder, but
yeah, I mean, like I said, those are just a couple of mine, just because there's so many more. But it's just like I said, we could be here all day talking about.
Absolutely. The last one that I wrote down, which was Aqua, because I was obsessed with Aqua, like Barbie Girl. And I definitely think I've changed my music taste 100% as I've gotten older, because clearly it's very poppy and, you know, in the 90s. But obviously I love 80s and Whitney Houston and Madonna. And, you know, they're huge for me. Both of them are huge for me as well. But it's funny how as I've gotten older, really more into classic rock and country, not as much into the poppy, but do love me some Justin Bieber. So
is it?
And
here's a question for you, and I just thought of it because, and I don't know, I might be, you know, for people that are really into music that love to listen to the new stuff and want to be always in the know about that. Like for me, I'm not a huge into like brand new songs. I don't know, like nowadays, like I really just like to listen to the stuff I like to listen to, you know, stuff from my past and stuff like that. So, I mean, there are a couple new songs I like out there, right? A couple, you know, catchy tunes, but for the most part, like I'm listening to like the 90s alternate rock, right? Or some Nelly station, like you said. Or,
I would say country is the only that I listen to newer stuff, even though I like more of the country, Tim McGraw, Kenny Chesney, Toby Keith. That's my favorite type of country versus the new stuff. I'm not really into it, but that's only the new songs that I would probably listen to because I listen to some of just the country stations. But it's also about when your car. So if you have Sirius, so I have Sirius radio. So I listen to 80s on 8. You know, the highway obviously is country, and that comes with some of the older stuff and the new stuff. But you're right. I mean, I don't listen to regular radio anymore. Unfortunately, I feel bad for local stations, but you know, I don't hear a lot of the newer stuff, especially with the pop and the rock. But I got into Maroon 5 a couple years ago, and I think Adam Levine is super talented singer, but also guitar player. Not so much live, but I love the Red Pill Blues album, and he just came out with a new single. It's apparently, and he was on Howard Stern that I listened to. They were interviewing him a couple months ago, and he was talking about singles again, because usually a single, as we know, would come out, CDs, when we worked at FYE, we would have singles that would come out and it would be the best song or something from the album. And then it just went to albums. And he was saying that like singles are coming back again and like putting out just one song versus a whole album. Because Nobody Like You is Maroon 5's new song. And I just love that. Me and my friends love it. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I listen to mostly older stuff too. And classic rock is huge. I listen to that a lot. I love like AC/DC and Allman Brothers and Guns N' Roses and, and all like that I love too. So. Yeah,
because that's interesting to say because I think you brought a good point up is that we have choice now. Whereas when we didn't have satellite radio, right, it was you listen to the whatever station you were listening to, and they played, the popular stuff, and you got to hear new stuff. But, for me, I'm the same way. Like, if I'm in the car nowadays, it's either talk radio, right? Because that's what you do when you get older. You listen to people talk on the radio. Or you pull up some station that you like your 80s on 8, right? And you listen to the stuff that you want to listen to. And geared towards.
Yeah, and it also is showing that we're getting old because unfortunately, because when we were listening to all this in the 90s, obviously I love the 80s, but it's funny as we get older and we enjoy older music too, or newer music. But I wanted to share too, because when we don't have some of the comments that come through that when it's posted on my personal page, but my friend Sean White had been posting a couple things, and he was at a Spice for All, but 98 Degrees. He said they used to play at Wanda's actually, which is funny because that was before I moved here. But he said Concert Memories, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Foo Fighters, Aerosmith, and Fuel. And those
Fuel was a good thing. I totally forgot about Fuel.
Yeah, we didn't bring those up, but yeah, thanks Sean for commenting on those and bringing those up. Because those are some good ones too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's great. I love concerts. I love country concerts. And that's something that you can do with your friends. And for the most part, there's people who aren't super into country or, maybe the type of music, but the concert itself and tailgating and going to the concert. And that's something that I think a lot of people really enjoy doing because it's an activity and it's an experience, especially for millennials, since we love experiences. Then I think, you know, concerts are live music, and it's, you know, you can kind of sing along, and I don't know.
Yeah. What's the last concert you went to? I was trying to remember myself, but.
So I haven't been to a couple concerts in the last couple years, but before that, I had gone to Guns N' Roses in Hershey. I had gone to Zac Brown bands. I had gone to, let me think, Florida Georgia Line. We just stayed in the parking lot because we were just tailgating. Because I'm not a huge, I'll listen to their songs and stuff, but yeah, I guess those were Guns N' Roses. There was a Journey and Def Leppard that I went to.
Oh, wow.
So there was a year after I got divorced, there was like 2 years of just concerts and traveling. And actually, I had been dying to go to see Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. Both had they did a joint tour, and that was in 2017-ish or something. And I went to Toronto for that. I picked a destination to specifically go. I'd never been to Canada, so that was a really good time because those are my ultimate favorites. But yeah, I had gone to a lot of concerts. I had seen Jason Aldean 3 times. So I love concerts, but unfortunately this year,
yeah.
Well, COVID.
Yep. Oh, thanks, COVID.
But I also saw that Brian Davis wrote "Happy Friday, Y'all," and Amanda Leah, I think she wrote "Love 80s and 90s Music." Love, so she did it like twice. So thank you too, Amanda. Thank you for.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for commenting. So, but I think that's a good way to end today. You know, we definitely love talking about music. It's such an important part of everybody's life, especially, you know, just growing up, memories, we attach them to those songs, right? Sometimes songs help us get through moments in our lives too, help us, you know, understand how life works and push through it and stuff like that. So, but I think it's time for the millennial meme.
Millennial meme.
Meme.
Times.
So it was my turn. Everyone that's watching and everybody that's listening will definitely let you know what the meme says. But I think this is very telling. Like I said, I kind of given some foreshadowing behind what this meme is going to be about. So without further ado. So for those that can't see, it's 2 people sitting next to each other. One is a nice looking young lady. She's got her ice cream blonde hair. She's very well put together. And then sitting next to her is a guy of like a full on like basically looks like Marilyn Manson. Yeah. And so on her it says, you know, my music taste, and then also my music taste. So it's 2 people completely opposite of what they of what their music taste is.
This is perfect because here we're talking about our love for you know, 90s and 2000s R&B and hip hop, and yet I love country and classic rock, 80s oldies.
Yeah. So you can look completely like the guy that looks like, you know, he just got off the stage of a Korn concert and still love Jessica Simpson, right?
And you know what? Own it.
So, but I thought that was a good one to kind of end on. So, but
I love
it also is another moment, right? We also have 2 moments back to back. We have a Mel's moment, right? So come to that time of the show where Mel gives us some kind of advice, something to look forward to, or just a good laugh, right? Whatever that might be. Mel, take it away.
Yeah.
Mel.
Yeah, Sean wrote goth because that is more of what that was. Yeah, I think that's a great segue into the Mel's moment of just, you know, owning the type of music that you like. If you want to cook you know, in to Frank Sinatra in the kitchen, like I do. If you want to jam out to, you know, your boy bands, your girl bands while you're driving and you're singing, how many people that we see that are, and I mean, I do it. I try to be conscious that when I'm driving past other cars, but that they're literally singing, you know, in their cars. But look, have fun with it. I think that's where music for us is such a huge part in our lives, in getting us through things and making things more enjoyable, and positivity, and that, you know, no matter what type of music you like, even if we didn't talk about your favorite music today, you know, we were definitely talking about stuff that when we were younger, and that childhood, I would say, time, but you know, listen to some great music, connect with somebody over music, you know, or just jam out this weekend. And, you know, no matter what it is.
I love it. I love it. I am unapologetic when it comes to me listening to music. If that's what I'm into at the moment, like,
sure,
you know, it might be listen to some Mariah Carey Christmas Carol stuff, right? Like that's just what I want to listen to. So I totally agree with that. Listen to whatever you want to listen to, and don't apologize for it, and sing as loud as you want.
And well, yeah, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Even
some people are tone deaf. Okay.
That's why you should sing in your car, because you're driving past people. They can't really hear you. They could see you, but they don't know if you're a good singer or not. But that doesn't matter. So,
yeah.
But
yeah.
but anyways, guys, we appreciate everybody that jumped on today. Everybody that commented, you know, Sean, Mom, everybody that took the time to comment and watch this today. Like I said, guys, you know, before we sign off, is make sure, like she said, make some memories, right, this weekend with some family and some friends. Just take some time to listen to some good music this weekend, right, and just hang out, have a good time. So, but anyways, guys, check us out next week. We'll be going live again. I think we kind of give a foreshadowing of what we're going to be talking about, right? So it might change, it might not. Who knows? That's the cool thing about running your own podcast. You can do whatever you want. So, but anyways, guys, we appreciate you jumping on. Like I said, check us out next week, and we'll be talking to you real soon. So have a great weekend.